How I would book NXT Stand and Deliver 2022 is coming for you now here on SCW. But if you want to stand and deliver for this channel, then please like the video, share with a friend as well, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell and turn notifications to all new each and every time a video is released, as we're on the road to WrestleMania 38. Now, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get straight into it on this one, and I've got 6 matches that I've fantasy booked for you here and now. I'm going to start off with the Tag Team Championships. Of course, I think it's going to be a triple threat match. I think we're going to get Imperium, the champions, defending the belts against the Creed brothers, the winners of the Dusty Cup, and MSK. Now, of course, the main bit of storyline narrative we need to know here is that from Roadblock, it was supposed to be Imperium versus the Creed brothers. Of course, as I say, the Creed brothers winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic for the men. That made them #1 contenders. They were supposed to get a tag team title match. They were attacked backstage, and of course, every tag team was accused, and a lot of them were saying, look, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Imperium even saying it wasn't them. But of course, the team that filled the spot to get a tag team title shot on that night was MSK, and eventually the Creed brothers run in during that match as well and pretty much attacked everybody in sight. It wasn't really indicated who attacked them. Maybe they're not sure, maybe they are aware. We're probably going to find out in the next week or two, but it seems pretty fishy. MSK had most to gain from that, and yet they wasn't really accused that much either. Perhaps a heel turn would be on the horizon. I think that is what is going to happen with MSK. I think they will be the ones that were the culprits that got them out of the match. They also then by default didn't lose in their championship match they had at Roadblock, therefore we'll get a 3-way, possibly elimination match we could do as well for the tag team championships at Stand and Deliver. Now, to give a winner for this match, I think it's fun to give new tag team champions, and it seems that I'm a big fan of, tournaments meaning something. So the Dusty Cup winners of the Creed brothers, they won that this year. Let's keep meaning with that. Let's have them win this match and win the NXT Tag Team Championships for the first time. I think for them and for Diamond Mine, this would be a really, really big deal. Quick minor shout out, by the way, as well to the grizzled young veterans. If I was really fantasy booking this, I'd love to include them in some way. It just doesn't quite fit their narrative. But for me, they are ready for a call up to Raw or SmackDown because they're not being used in NXT, and they're not going to be used there. Let's utilize their talents in another tag team division throughout WWE, because let's be fair, every tag team division could use the grizzled young veterans. Next, let's talk about the North American Championship ladder match. That's right, Carmelo Hayes, Melo don't miss, and at this moment, we don't know who he's going to be taking on at this point, but we do know we've got a qualifying match taking place on NXT this week between Cameron Grimes and Santos Escobar. Personally, for me, if you can give my option this one, I would pick Cameron Grimes to pick up the victory. I know he's had a chance at the championship before, but he would fit quite well in the babyface narrative, and of course the fact he says he wants gold in 2022. He's great as well for a ladder match, even though I think Escobar would be awesome in a ladder match as well. He was in one last year at Stand and Deliver against Jordan Devlin, of course in a losing effort. So you could have the storyline narrative of trying to right the wrong from last year, but for me, Grimes would be my guy. The other people that I would fill in the spots as well, I'd actually fill a couple of heels in there also with Tony D'Angelo, because he's been after some championship gold for a while. He's not been doing a lot on NXT since his rivalry with Pete Dunne or Butch, depending on what you prefer at this current time. And of course as well, I would actually fill in Grayson Waller as well, because Waller, he's annoying, he's obnoxious, but he's done some high spots in some big matches already. Let's not forget the last man standing match last week. He jumped off the top rope to go hit the elbow through Eli Drake through the table, which of course got him the victory. He also jumped off the top of War Games as well, so you can imagine with a big ladder in the ring as well, I think it'd be a fun spot to have him do that in there. I think you can have one of those oh my god moments in this ladder match. And to fill in the other spot then for the babyfaces, I would have the debuting A-Kid. Now, A-Kid is a former Heritage Cup winner from NXT UK. He's done a lot of training as well with Tyler Bate previously. I think he's going to be a revelation, the first ever Spanish superstar in NXT and in WWE period. I think he'll be fantastic for this match personally. So for me, A-Kid would fill in my final slot, and he's someone who's not had the opportunity to go for championship gold against Carmelo Hayes, because I mean, you could have an argument of previous people that have faced Carmelo all in one match, but I wanted to feel kind of a fresh feel overall here. Cameron Grimes is great for the gimmick, which is why I kind of give him a little bit of an exception and put him in this match. So as it's a multi-man ladder match, really qualifying matches seem to make the most sense to make people in this match, and also you can do some variations of tag team matches, triple threat matches building up to this, and just throw in a ladder here and there to build the match up. But there's not too much storyline narrative you can get to this. So let's go straight to what I would do for a winner. And the winner for me would be Grayson Waller. Now, my reasoning for that is because I think Grayson Waller is obnoxious anyway. He's the heel you love to hate. So for that reason, with a championship as well, I think Grayson Waller just goes to another level. Personally, for me, I don't think he's quite ready for the NXT championship, which might be one question you're asking me, but I'm sure the other question you're asking me is, why would I have Carmelo Hayes lose, do you ask? Well, for me, I think he's ready for the main roster. I think he's ready for Raw and SmackDown. He's like the complete package right now in NXT. Melo don't miss, and he hasn't missed since, you know, debuting against Adam Cole last year, now going on to have a lengthy run as North American champion. The only other thing you could do with him is maybe, he says he's the A champion, maybe he goes for the A championship. Maybe that's what you could do with Carmelo going forward, because with Trick Williams as well by his side, I like that duo, I like that dynamic. I think if Trick was to be called up to Raw SmackDown at this point, I do think perhaps he would be a little bit exposed, because I don't think he's personally ready. Carmelo, on the other hand, in ring, everything else is definitely ready for the main spotlight. And I do say, if he doesn't go for the NXT Championship, I personally like to see him go against Ricochet for the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown. I think that'd be a really fun feud and a fun match to see. Next, let's talk about the Women's Championship, shall we? But of course, we've got the tag team champions of, you know, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, and of course, we've got Mandy Rose as the NXT Women's Champion. Of course, as a trio, it's Toxic Attraction. I think we've got 4 women in the mix now for these championships. Of course, we've got one duo of Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade right now. Of course, have been eliminated from the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic for the women. The other ones who I think are going to go on to win it will be Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray. Now, I think that they'll get the opportunity at the Women's Tag Team Championships first, and I think Mandy Rose is going to cost them that match. Therefore, I think we're going to get a triple threat match. We're going to get Mandy Rose versus Io Shirai versus Kaylee Ray for the NXT Women's Championship. I think it's a fun match. I think it adds an unpredictable factor to it. I think even if the other 2 members of Toxic Attraction get involved, I don't think it's clear cut that Mandy Rose retains. So for me, this is a really exciting, you know, idea of what you could do for a match. And just to flip it over as well and put both of these in one, that means I would have Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade go for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, going up against Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Obviously, just to go then with the story narrative of why this would make sense to do that matchup, Raquel Gonzalez, of course, was taken out by Gigi Dolan and JC Jane during their match in the Dusty Cup, which they went on to lose. Of course, Cora Jade and Raquel didn't go and qualify further on, so they're going to want their revenge for that. So I can see them looking to try and get that here at Stand and Deliver. But for me personally, I would keep all the gold on Toxic Attraction at this time. I still don't think it's stale. I still don't think it's the right time for any of them to lose their championships. I think personally the heat is at a good level right now, and personally for me, I'm not sure what's going to happen after we go through Stand and Deliver. I imagine that at least Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai could be called up to Raw and SmackDown. So for that reason, at this particular moment, unless Kaylee Ray was going to go and win the NXT Women's Championship, which I wouldn't be against, by the way, I just personally think that it wouldn't make sense to make these title changes at this point. I'd probably wait till In Your House to make a title change for the women's division. Next, I would have Gunther against Solo Sikoa once again. And do you know what? We could make a bit of fun with this. Could do like Falls Count Anywhere, because, well, when Sikoa and Boa did this match, it was a really, really fun time. And I think it could work quite well into the storyline anyway, because they've actually had a one-on-one match already. I think Solo Sikoa could want to prove himself that he can beat Gunther after all. But the ring is sacred, of course. And of course, if Gunther and Imperium keeps jumping on Solo Sikoa on the build to this show, then I think it could be a good excuse if toys come out, or if there's attacks backstage or stuff like that. Perhaps even another one-on-one match and it can't be sold in the ring. There's a good excuse to put the Falls Count Anywhere elements into the match. Now, for me personally, I think these two had great chemistry when they wrestled last time. To be given a good length of time on a Stand and Deliver takeover, can I say takeover still? I think it would be really, really awesome. I still think Gunther will pick up the victory, because I think Gunther long term definitely is going to be an NXT champion in the very near future. Solo Sikoa, I can see it happening, but perhaps more towards the end of the year rather than now at this point. Maybe he could be the one that eventually dethrones Gunther at a later date. Could be a storyline playing that every time Solo goes in against Gunther, he can't quite get the win no matter what the circumstance. But Gunther for me definitely is going to be a near future NXT champion, so for me, he would pick up the W here. Lastly, let's talk about the main event, the NXT Championship. Dolph Ziggler is your NXT champion, ladies and gents. Who thought we'd have said that a few short weeks ago? Even last week, I personally didn't believe he was winning that championship, but it's great to see him in this spot, and do you know what? I think he kind of deserves it. He deserves a championship run, and even though it's NXT, I think he can make a great storyline and can utilize a lot out of it. But the question is going to be, who is he going to be facing? And for me, I reckon it should be Bron Breakker, but it could end up being Tommaso Ciampa. Now, here's my reason why it might not be Bron Breakker after all. Rumours are suggesting in the room amongst the dirt sheets that Bron Breakker, from this point, he lost the championship because he's going to be called up to Raw going forward, or potentially SmackDown as well, but it looks like the more likely destination could be Monday Night Raw. Now, if he's going to be fast-tracked and given to Raw and SmackDown, you can do a feud with him and Ziggler. on Raw anyway. You wouldn't need to do it for the NXT Championship. You certainly could do it not long after WrestleMania. But for me, I think it'd make a great storyline narrative. The fact that Bron Breakker would want to go and win that championship back. And you could play a quite nice little story with Tommaso Ciampa as well. Because, well, Tommaso Ciampa could be of that sort of idea of that Dolph Ziggler's come in trying to ruin the NXT that was built all those years ago, and now the future of what this NXT is supposed to represent. Dolph Ziggler's coming and ruining that, where Dolph Ziggler could almost say, almost on the flip side, look, you guys, I was here before you on NXT. Yeah, I wasn't someone that was actually an NXT superstar, but remember when it was like a game show, when it was kind of that time where people had to earn their stripes to get to a Raw or SmackDown? I was a mentor, and maybe someone like Bron Breakker wouldn't lose that championship if they were listening to tips from me, because I make a great mentor, better than you, Tommaso Ciampa. So that would be my storyline narrative going in, because whether it was Bron Breakker or Ciampa, I think this would make a great story going out forward with these. You could even do the triple threat once again. I'd be quite happy to see it, but I do think it's going to be one-on-one regardless of which way it is done. But of course, with the idea of Bron Breakker, then which advice does he take? Because he lost the championship before. If he takes advice for Tommaso Ciampa, they do a tag team match again with Ziggler and Rude. Perhaps they end up losing that match, and perhaps you get that sort of question mark going through Bron Breakker's head if he's actually getting the right advice, if he should be taking advice full stop, or anything of respect with Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe we can have that third and final match between these two on a Monday Night Raw, for example, because they've been going to Raw anyway, and that could be a place where if Bron Breakker is going to be called up, it would make sense for Bron Breakker to pick up the victory. Perhaps even a case of some mentorship from Dolph Ziggler. Maybe Dolph Ziggler even gets involved in a match with Bron Breakker, not even realizing, and that could then make it a bit clean and a bit safe, especially if Ciampa is going to be the one going for that championship. But if you come around then to what the main show would be, whether it was Breakker or Ciampa, of course, they would be your brand new NXT champion. That would be what I would do. I think Dolph Ziggler is a transitional champion in NXT, but certainly was a fun shock. It was a fun twist. And like I say, if you can play off this, you know, different eras of what NXT were, you've got the new, you've got what the black and gold was in the middle, and you've got Theory, the really old game show, mentor, pro and rookie elements. You can play all those into one narrative storyline. I think that'd be really, really fun. Imagine Dolph Ziggler backstage trying to tell Bron Breakker he should run around backstage or run around a ring with, like, you know, a keg of beer or something. That'd be quite fun to see, and just see Bron be like, I ain't doing that. I think this would be quite a fun story all the way around. But knowing my luck, probably NXT tomorrow do a fatal 5-way #1 contenders match, which have Bron Breakker and Ciampa both in it, neither involved in the decision, and Ziggler will probably end up facing someone else at Stand and Deliver. And if that is the case, then Ziggles will still lose, in my personal opinion. But that's how I would book NXT Stand and Deliver 2022 with the matches, storylines, and results. How would you book it? Let me know in the comments below. And do you like the sound of this match card, the storylines, results? Who would win if these were the matches in your personal opinion? Let me know right now. I cannot wait to interact with you. Please like the video as well, share with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell as well. Set the notifications to all, you know, each and every time a video is released, as we're on the road to WrestleMania 38. Want to check out some of these videos on the side of your screen right now as well, and take care. Have yourselves a great day. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you next time here on YouTube. All the best, and thank you for watching.